Howdy ho, guys and gals. Welcome back to the Den of Tools. Today we got three contenders here. We got the Vevor from Vevor. We got the Bauer from Harbor Freight, and we got the Bucktool. These are grinder slash belt sanders, and they're an interesting combination tool. We're going to put them through a couple tests, see how they compare, see which one's the right one for you. So let's jump into it. All right, here we got the Vevor. This is a 6-inch grinder, a 2x28 belt. Just a basic, simple one. It's got a light here, the gooseneck light that comes around. It did not come with a light bulb. Not sure if it was supposed to. There's supposed to be a little tray down here. It comes down to cool things off when you're using like the grinder or something. It did not come with the tray, which is fine because honestly, I usually just use it like a soup can or something like that. I find these little trays actually to be annoying. It did not come with the dust catcher either. So, yay, Vevor. Anyway, some things about this that I like. It's cheap. Some things about this I don't like. This just kind of hangs here no matter how much you tighten it down. It kind of just rests on there. All the bolts to attach everything are in the inside and makes it really hard to get to. Now, to be fair, they all do that. I don't know why they don't put the bolts on the outside. It seems like an easier way to do it. But, you know, I'm not an engineer. Apparently, I don't understand basic stuff. You got your belt tensioner right here. It works okay. This little shelf here, I wish this was bigger, but it isn't. It is what it is. To rotate, if you want to rotate this in the down position, you've got 2 bolts here that you loosen up and allows you to rotate it down so you can use it as a flat belt or a standing belt like this. So something else I didn't like is there's a belt tensioner, or you can release the tension on the belt to adjust it. There's a handle right here, but the plate on the side blocks that. So you have to take the plate off before you can actually access this. And that just seems a little odd. But hey, it is what it is. Let's put on some safety glasses and have this sucker run and see what it can do. Sound from about 6 inches away. That's about what it's supposed to be. Now, this piece of wood, these are these 1 inches. We're gonna see how long it takes to grind out 1 piece of wood, 1 inch. Well, that's interesting. There you go. A lot of dust. Next up, we got the Bauer. As you can tell, the Bauer is a much beefier machine here. It's a bigger motor. It's running an 8-inch disc or 8-inch wheel. That's probably a good portion of it. It's got the same belt though. You're running a 2x28 belt there. So pretty much the same as far as that's concerned. In fact, this whole mechanism is very similar, but not the same. Now, it did come with the dust collector. We don't have it hooked up to dust collection just to keep everything equal. It has the same release over here, but this one actually works. You can use it while this is attached. One thing I did note is this kind of comes over the edge here. You probably want to adjust that back if you're doing wider pieces. You can do it, but it seems to naturally want to fit coming over it. Maybe you could grind it down or something. That's kind of a goof there. It's something that's, I don't know, maybe you can figure it out. Anyway, it has the same small tool rest, much better tool rest over here. It's angled, it's grooved. You can do drill bits, you can do chisels and stuff over here. A better shield on it as well. Of course, I would say eye protection is key. Even if you got these, don't rely on this. That's really not much going to stop a few sparks. That's all that's going to do. No tray down here, which is fine because I don't need one. I use a tin can anyway. Never have really used those. It's got a great gooseneck here with a light. And look, the light's in it. Everything in this came that said was going to come in it. But let's kick it on. Let me put my glasses back on. We're going to kick it on and see how loud this is and see what happens. A little bit louder. We got our measuring stick. Yeah, that's not even close. Now for the real test. We're gonna see how the grinder side handles things. While we're at it, and now it's time for the big boy of the bunch. We're talking about the Bucktool here. It has a motor, honestly, similar in size to the Vevor. It doesn't seem as big as the Bauer. It's running a 6-inch wheel. The shield for this, either we lost it or it didn't come in the packaging. I could not find it. The light for it is a little LED light down here that takes a couple of AAAs, and honestly, that's not up to par as far as I'm concerned. It's got a very basic tool rest over here. It does have a safety lock on the switch, and as far as belts, well, it's running something a little bit beefier here. This is a 2x46 if I'm not mistaken, and it's got a ton more features. We're going to take you through that in just a second, but first we're going to put it to the test. Also, I should point out, it comes with 2 rests. This is the woodworking rest, and this is the metalworking rest. And as you can see, it's quite beefy, really nicely made. It comes with a couple different belts. We're all running 80 grit belts. The Bauer and the Vevor are running the exact same belt. Of course, you can't run the exact same belt on this one. So let's power this up and let's see what we get out of it. There's our sound. Let's see if I can get a 35 on that one. All right. See how long it takes to take off an inch. we go. All right, we're going to show you some of the features that are different on this. Here's your tension release here for your belt. Your tracking is up here. Now this, to lower it down, your plate release over here is just these two. It's got a really nice stand on the back here. So when you lower it down, it stays in the lowered position, nice and even. All right, well, we're back and you saw what you saw. Now let's get this all out of the way. All three of these were sent to me. So if you think I've got bias, I don't know how you're going to work that one out. You deal with you. That said, you saw the performance. Let's look at the numbers on it. Let me pull this up here. And here's the Vevor. We're going to start with the Vevor. It's $153. 250 watt. If you do the conversion, I think that's a 3rd horsepower. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. It looked like a nice tidy little package. It was, you saw, I didn't have a gauge how much pressure. It didn't take a ton to stall that thing out. It was pretty easy. I didn't have these bolted down. It didn't move on me. So as you can see, I didn't do a lot to it to cause it to stall out. The grinder side did better than the belt side. And that really comes down. And then of course the parts that were missing, that's just kind of Vevor. Here's the deal with Vevor. They were kind of like Harbor Freight back in the day. They are, well, as far as the quality of the tools, you might win one, you might lose one. But the thing with Harbor Freight is you can just go back to the store and return it and be like, hey, make this right. Vevor is a little more difficult. And if you saw my video on them, and yet they still send me stuff. Apparently they're sending me a pizza oven. Ooh, pizza oven. Anyway, fools. Anyway, the $153. And you look at the little white gloves that come with it. Yep, those. That's how I can always tell it's like a straight from China. They love doing those little white gloves with everything. I don't understand it. If you're on Amazon, if you're like, hey, this is the one for me, I'm on a super tight budget, I still want it. If you don't want to order it from Vevor, and I don't blame you, order the Happy Buy from Amazon. It's the exact same machine. It's the exact same machine for a reason. It's Vevor. It's the same company. If you saw my video, they have registered names. It's all like the secret hush company behind the scenes. It's all the same thing, but now you're going to get the protection of Amazon. If you have a problem, you can call up Amazon and be like, hey, make this right. Amazon's going to fix it for you, at least give you your cash back and stick it to Vevor. Now, the one that really stood out to me, and you can say what you want because, you know, Harbor Freight has sent us a lot of stuff in the past, and I'm a big fan of Harbor Freight, but I'm not a fanboy. I call them out when they do something wrong. Was it a perfect machine? No, it wasn't a perfect machine. Was it a really good machine? Yeah, I was stunned. Did you see how fast? I mean, we're talking angry beaver mode. It rabid beavered. It went right through that wood. Not that it was hardwood. This is some cheap wood. Actually, I found it in the shop. It was up in the rafters. I'm like, hey, this will do. It's nice and dry. It'll work. One thing I did do wrong is I didn't wear a respirator when doing this. I should have had a respirator on because anyway, point is, but I had eye protection, so we were there. The LED light is great. The flexible light on that. The guard is okay. The tool rest, great if you're it's great if you're doing drill bit stuff that needs to be angled, stuff that's curved needs to be for the try to do flat stuff. I wish it was interchangeable. I guess I could make my own. I could easily make my own. The belt part itself, good enough. The only thing I'm gonna say is that plate on the outside that overlaps, it needs to get moved back. It's kind of a pain to mess with, but the fact that I can adjust the belt, I can do everything without taking that on and off. Again, it doesn't have the little cooling tray. I don't need a cooling tray. Just give me I'll make some corn tonight and I'll just take that can, peel it off, and that's my cooling cup. That's what I've always used for years and years. And it works better because if you're working with a longer piece, I mean, that little tiny tray is ridiculous. All right. You're working with a longer piece, it gets hot, you can dunk the whole thing in there. Good to go, okay? And then you can have different ones if you're quenching an oil or something like that, you're trying to do some hardness, any kind of stuff, you can do that. All right. Now, the real question is, let's go back. And of course, the Bauer has the 8-inch wheel. Beefier motors coming in at 3/4 of a horsepower. I think it felt like 3/4 of a horsepower to me. It was beefy. Now, the Bucktool, I was really excited about getting the Bucktool. I've been wanting to do some knife making and stuff like that, and a lot of people recommend this as a great entry-level knife maker. Now, here's the funny thing. When I see a blue belt, and this is because I'm just old and things change and stuff. I see a blue belt, I think metalworking. I see a green belt, I think metalworking. I see a red belt, and I think wood. But who's going to use this in a wood shop? All right, this is none of these are really going to be great for woodwork. You got I'm going to have a half a grinder on one side and part of a belt sander on the other. Is this really a woodworking / metalworking tool? I mean, I guess I could see somebody in a very small shop on a budget using this as a combo tool. And you can do the same with this because that is the woodworking, and that's a nice platform to do it. And you can lay it down in the horizontal position. There, they've got a picture there. You can see it in the horizontal position. It's fantastic. It's a great tool. But it's running now. They list it at a 1/3 horsepower, and it did feel like a 1/3 horsepower, but it felt like more horsepower than the Vevor. I had trouble. I had to really shove on it to get it to try and stall out there. And the wheels did a great job. Now, it could be the abrasiveness of the wheel. It was different than the other wheels. You know, as I say, it always comes down to where the rubber meets the road. You have a mediocre tool with a good attachment, a good wheel or a good chain or a good blade. You know, it makes a world of a difference. It's, as I say, you drive a cheap car, put good tires on it, and it'll drive like a dream, usually. Anyway, you're looking at $229, $230 to jump up to the Vevor, but you're looking at a 2x42 belt. The 6-inch grinder. Honestly, at this point, the grinder's like kind of all right, it's there to me. Now, which of these am I going to keep? That's the real question is, if I look at all three of them, I'm back here and I've got, it's like, which one would I keep? Well, I'm not keeping the Vevor. And I thought, my first thought was, well, I'll keep the Bucktool and I'll give the Bauer to a friend of mine who needs something like that. And then I'm like, I don't know. I really like the juice you get out of the Bauer. Here's the thing. Trying to find really good aggressive belts to do metalworking with the Bauer, with that 2x28 just is not as easy as finding. You can find tons of great stuff in the 2x42. Can I mod the belt on that one to go on the Bauer? Wait and see. Now, the one real big question is, why would you go one of these if you're going to do woodworking and not just get something like that? That's the oscillating belt sander. That is the one from Harbor Freight. And yes, Harbor Freight did send me that one here. Let me pull it up on the screen so you can see what I'm looking at. They sent me that some time ago, but I've had that one. I've had, let me go through the others. This is 210 currently. For 201, you can get the wind sander. It's exactly the same. Well, it's not red. And I will say this, the Bauer has got better like knobs and stuff on it. The wind's got like just metal nuts and stuff. There's one nice knob, but everything else is like wing nuts and everything else. And you need like a pliers to do it. But as far as how it works exactly the same. I've had two of them. Grizzly. There we go. Grizzly makes one. Go away, Grizzly. Here we go. Come on, pull up. There we go. 213 on the Grizz. Triton has one for 260. Triton usually thinks a lot of themselves. Of course, there's the classic rigid 329. It's a bigger platform, but underneath it's essentially the same machine. I've looked at all these. I've owned one of the rigids, two of the winds, and the Bauer. You know, I've not yet tried this one, the new one from Rigid, the skeletonized version. And honestly, I heard back from it was when it first launched, and I did not hear great things. Basically, what I say is buy whichever one's cheaper. Right now, it's the Wind. Tomorrow, it's usually going to be the Bauer. It's almost never the Grizzly or the Triton. Every once in a while, you'll see a ridiculous sale on the Rigid, and it'll drop down that 200 range. But it's been a while since that happened. But that's it. Let's go back to the other three. I'm going to do a hard pass on the Vevor or the Happy Buy. If you're in the Livingston, Montana greater metropolitan area, population like 5, no, it's bigger than that, but not that big. Anyway, if you're in there, shoot me an email. Email's down below as always. and I'll be happy to donate to you. You will have to sign a release form. Kid. The Bauer, which one do you think? Yeah, maybe I'll have to see if I can take that off and put it on there. The question is, how will that belt handle running at 3/4 horsepower? Maybe we'll find out. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with, we're going to do a test on this one. We can't do the metal test, but we're going to see how long it takes to take off an inch of that wood. We're going to do that test next, and we'll leave you with that. Well, there you go. There you have it. Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to chomp the old like button, smash the subscribe, ring the bell on your way out. You all take care. God bless. And as always, shine on.